Members, colleagues and friends, I'm delighted to be in Cork tonight and to see such great numbers here because I know this meeting is clashing with a very important World Cup game. But then I'm told that the only match that counts was last Sunday and that one produced the right outcome for Cork. Sportsmen and sportswomen know something about overcoming past disappointments and stepping onto the pitch again. And that is the secret about dealing with defeat, stepping onto the pitch again. I repeat here what I said in Galway. Rumours of our demise are greatly exaggerated. I recall a sense of depression after one election in which Labour had failed to elect a single woman TD. Within 3 years, we had helped elect Ireland's first woman president and had a greater number of women TDs than any other party. The lesson is simple. A party can change when survival demands change and circumstances permit it. Yes, the Labour Party we face significant obstacles, and I don't underestimate them. But I firmly believe we have the capacity to confront our difficulties honestly and to turn the situation around. Now, absolutely none of that is to belittle the incredibly traumatic election that many candidates in this room and around the country have endured. I'm acutely aware that Labour no longer has a council presence in Cork City and that our presence on the councils in Cork County, in Kerry and Waterford and elsewhere in Munster is massively diminished. Let me say first that candidates across the country lost through no fault of their own, and their defeat was no reflection on their admirable track records of working for their communities. Candidates lost because voters were unhappy with our performance in government. Let me say secondly that I recognise that this is no consolation, probably the opposite in fact, and that members didn't come here tonight for consoling words anyway. I think you came to hear a plan of action. To all of the candidates who ran last month, successful or unsuccessful, my promise to you here tonight is that if I'm elected leader of the party, you won't be on your own, and I want your input and your continued active involvement. One of the first things I'll do is ask the candidates who are not successful to continue their work for the party and their local communities as local area representatives. I will also examine, in consultation with our TDs, our senators, our councillors and our candidates, how we can rebuild effective teams in parts of the cities and counties where we no longer have representation for the moment. We need a genuine process of engagement. My record of pre-budget forums, other discussions and public events for party members in both government and opposition shows the bona fides of that commitment. Recovery for this party will be a collective endeavour, and it won't be done without all of the people here, all of us here in this room. A major part of this outreach process will be to reconnect with those who share our values, our colleagues in the trade union movement and in civic society. And most importantly, of course, we need to reconnect with the public, with the voters who've lost faith in us, who stayed at home on election day in many cases, or who voted for others where they came out to vote. The first phase of our time in government has been about ensuring economic recovery. But this has meant asking an awful lot from people, as we heard during the questions to the deputy candidates. And we undoubtedly made mistakes along the way. We must now focus relentlessly on the second phase, repairing society, just as we repaired the economy. This means getting more people back to work, helping small businesses to prosper, agree with the man who talked about that, building social and affordable homes and new schools, investing in health and reducing inequality. It means building a social recovery as well as an economic recovery. Or to paraphrase what Sean O'Casey said of Jim Larkin, to fight not just to put bread on the table of working families, but a rose in the vase on the table too. There are those on the right who argue the state cannot seek to provide both, that the state's role should stop once the economy is functioning and leave the functioning of society to someone else. I couldn't disagree more. I see no conflict between the egalitarian agenda of social democracy and the demands of a mixed economy. In fact, one complements the other, in that the most successful knowledge-based economies are driven by a very distinct democratic streak, involving the participation of all in lifelong education and other policies that promote social cohesion. I want Labour members to resolve that our ambition is to embrace government as long as we have the ways and means to have a decisive impact on policy, on the share out of public resources, on tax justice, and on the creation of an open, a liberal, and a tolerant society. And on the issue of government, let me say a few words about the budget. The fiscal hawks are insisting that we proceed with a further $2 billion adjustment, even though it is becoming increasingly likely that we won't need an adjustment of that size to reach the only important target, getting the deficit below 3% of GDP. I've repeatedly said we must meet the 3% target, but that means doing only what is necessary and no more. Implementing a $2 billion adjustment just for the sake of it would be massively counterproductive. At a time when a modest recovery is underway, people are returning to work and the public finances are improving, we want to sustain that progress, not wreck it. As Social Protection Minister, I fought to protect the welfare safety net because of its importance in safeguarding against poverty and maintaining social cohesion. That's led to suggestions in some quarters that I'm difficult. Well, you know me. If I'm difficult, it's simply because I stand my ground for what I believe in and what we believe in. And I would do nothing less as Labour leader. I promise you that. Friends, my dad was an iron moulder in the CIE works in Inchicore, just as his father was before him. So you'll forgive me if I conclude using a word closely associated with that particular trade. My dad's job was to forge metal in the furnace. My job as leader will be to forge Labour once again into a national movement that challenges the old ways of doing business, that seeks to reconcile social progress with economic realities, and promotes an open, liberal society and shapes the centre-left agenda. Nobody else can do that job if we falter, because no one else speaks with a true social democratic voice in Irish politics. A new leadership has to be candid about past mistakes and proud of genuine achievements and optimistic about our future. That is what I offer, And that is why I ask you, the party membership, for a decisive mandate in this election. I ask for your trust and I ask for your support. And in return, I promise you all that I can bring to the leadership of this great party. Thank you.